Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Random Encounters with your host, Stan. It's it. Once again, we're back for another hour and a little bit of doing cartooning improv cartooning. You know, and I know what it is, and I always stumble a little bit as I try and say it out loud. I don't know why. I write it easily enough. Anyway, improv cartooning is where I've got a list of got some random encounter tables, which is where the name for this show comes from, which is something you'll find in games like Dungeons and Dragons, other tabletop role playing games, and I will randomly pick a subject, a creature, and an activity, and then I'll draw that while we're waiting. And I'll give you, of course, in the audience, a chance to uh, pitch in ideas. And sometimes there's lots of room for interpretation, or um, sometimes there's not even necessarily lots of room, but something will occur to you. Throw it out there. I like this is about the fun of coming up with an idea and turning it into something quickly. Hello, Roger. Hello, Dale. Thank you all for joining me tonight. Always glad to see you both. So, now that we've established what we're doing, why don't we get down to it? I'm gonna make sure I got my little technology pad here working. All of my drawings tonight will be done on the iPad Pro using the app Procreate. None of this is sponsored, though I'm open to the possibility if either company wants to reach out. Um, but let's have a look at what we've got on tap for tonight. These are the random encounter tables I've got lined up for this week. Let's see over there on the who's and the what's. Hello, Linnea. Grabbing paper and writing excellent. I love it. In fact, that's a good reminder for me to encourage you all, whether you're watching this live or on replay sometime, to grab some pen and paper, do your own drawings. You can use the same prompt that I have, or just draw something else that interests you. Um, the whole idea is that drawing's fun, and I'm trying to encourage us all to do it a little more often. So, these are our lists. Now, how do we pick numbers off the list? Well, I'll tell you. We come over here to another app. We've got a dice rolling app, and I'm going to roll the dice once for a who and once for a what. And then we're going to go from there. So, here we go. For the who. Once, twice, third time's a charm, and we got number 3 for the who. So our first who is going to be a gnoll. And a gnoll is a D&D creature which is kind of like a hyena man, jackal man. It's a werewolf-like. But gnolls are specifically hyena-like bipedal creatures. You'll see. But what is that gnoll going to be doing? Once, twice, third time's a charm, and we got number 4. A gnoll, the SAG strike, the Screen Actors Guild. I'd had this at the Writers Guild strike last week, but that seems to be in the midst of being resolved. It's not fully resolved yet, but they have an agreement in principle. And so the strike seems to be on its way over. But the Screen Actors Guild strike still on. So we've got a gnoll at the Screen Actors Guild strike. Okay. That's what we're going to do. So I'm going to turn off that, and we're going to come in here. Let's see. So we're going to zoom in a little here. The gnoll has a pretty small head and a thick neck and broad shoulders. They're kind of hunched over, and they've got longish, thinnish legs with paws on the end. So that would be an okay start for a gnoll. I may not keep that because we've got to figure out. Well, let's see. We've got Noel carrying a sign. Like that. Noels often actually have beefy arms. They've got beefy arms and spindly legs. Kind of a little weird. Um, so why don't we have another Noel over here for him to talk to? And I guess if there's something you guys can think of, it would be what I don't know if you've seen much of the coverage of the strikes, but everyone's always writing clever little sayings on their signs that they're carrying. So the question, might be what funny, maybe punny thing could we have the Noel saying about being on strike? And that's something I can think of. It's often the case on something like this. Now, I know that it's like in my head, I'm working on the visuals, right? I know that we need to have these two creatures here, and that will be. Let me just erase that so you can get a better idea of what I've got going on. We've got these two guys here, and that's going to be the same no matter what the joke is, because the although we're going to have them saying something, don't know what that joke is, but the secondary jokes go there and there. So we've got 3 spots for wordplay jokes. And in the meanwhile, so very often, let's say in the creative, just talking about creative process, I know that I've got to get those in there, but in any case, I've got to do this drawing anyway. So I can let my mind play around with those ideas while I do these drawings. And hopefully, it'll come up with something. But I've got you guys here to help me out with that. So if you have any ideas for what either one troll is saying to the other, or the 2 trolls are saying to each other, and what they might say on their Screen Actors Guild uh, placards that they're carried around, I'm open to suggestions. Hello, Denise. Scab gets the stabs. That's a good one. That's got a very high probability of being used. All right, so that's enough. It's enough of a sketch from me, I think. Um, I'm going to come in here. I'm going to go up to the lines layer now, and I'm going to start doing some drawings. And again, I always say start with lines you're confident in. I'm kind of maybe setting up something in the relationship between the two by giving this guy he seems to be a little bit surprised by whatever this guy is saying. So that may help figure out how that'll work. And meanwhile, again, I'm going to have his long hands, long arms with claws. And the arm back here. Don't want to be quite so sloppy. There's a when I'm doing the sketches, I'm going to turn this layer off for a second so you can see this. But the lines are very sloppy, and that's okay because I'm just trying to get the idea, rough idea of where things are going. But sometimes I need to remember and remind myself as I'm doing this, because I'm working so quickly, that I need to be more um, precise with the lines when I put the inks down, because when I turn the sketches off like this, for this to look finished and not super sketchy like it did. All right, but we're doing good for a start. Got it. Gotta be careful about that because this finger used to look like this finger is wrapping around the whole way, like that. Same thing with these others. I'm gonna have to move those. Sometimes you notice when you're working quickly, you'll notice things that don't quite line up. And working digitally like this, super easy just to make a change. Yeah, he's got something to say now. We could have them saying, "Scabs get the stabs." We could have that be on one of the signs. It all depends on the ideas we come up with. Remembering as I draw this, it very often um, part of the no body type is to have that little bit of a mane that runs off the top of the head and down the back. They're very often shown with braiding that hair or decorating it in some way or another. Go. And it's looking good. This is coming together pretty quickly. which means it's almost time to start figuring out what we're going to say on these. Uh, sorry, I'm going to tell you one thing I'm going to do. I noticed that uh, the strike, everyone had that. Now, going to fill that up with black and then put in, rather than try and uh, build uh, these letters, I'm just going to draw them on in white. SAG and AFTRA are the two unions, two guilds that are on strike. Okay, so that's as far as that can go until we figure it out. Okay, now, okay, ideas. Anyone been working up some ideas there for things we could put on there? Now, I'm liking the scabs get stabs, but I feel like we should add a little more onto that. So it's not there's something there's something more. I don't know, maybe not, but um, this guy could write Hal for fair pay. Usually they may say honk for something. I think that the Knowles would say howl for it. Here's one. Maybe a typo spelling. Maybe. Uh, Linnea says maybe a typo, or maybe one no can say to the other, I would have edited it, but I'm on strike. Which is funny. Um, but now that needs me to come up uh, uh, with some typo. Okay, so I could make this fair instead of and spell it the wrong way, and then over here this one could say scabs get stabs. I do like that. And so that's what, yeah. So this would say, I. How do we phrase this? We say, yeah, I know. I spelled it wrong. But no editing. We're on strike. Oh, I did all that, and it's because I was so zoomed in. I did it at the wrong angle. But here we get another one of those beautiful things about working digitally. Just to grab it and I rotate it around so that it's close to right. And now I can just stick a word balloon around it. Yeah, I know I spelled it wrong, but no editing. We're on strike. All right, so now we're going to turn off our sketch layer and see what we've got here. Maybe come in and add a few extra detail lines to make it feel better, feel more complete. Maybe find little clean things to clean up here and there. All right, and now we'll add some quick color on it and call it good. I'm going to go to the colors layer. I'm going to switch brushes. I like to do my coloring with this gloaming brush, which is just a basic brush here um, in the Procreate app, and it's got a very crayony or markery feeling to it, which I think really helps with what we're doing here, which our drawings are supposed to feel quickly done. There we go. And do some color over on this guy too. Like that. I want the slightly different color hair for the mane. We wear different colored pants just to show that, not all gnomes shop at the same tailor. Or Knowles, excuse me, Knowles. And what else do we need here? And now we'll go back and add a little slightly darker color for. I think I'm using the wrong color there. Slightly darker color to give the idea of some shadows. Like that. What else do I want to do here? Look at this. I think we need to just touch that up a little. I want to come in here with a slightly different color here for the ears. You almost don't even notice that, but I think it actually makes a difference. Same thing for the blue down here. And just a little on the ground to show that the walking is important here. And we've got a pretty good first drawing, I think. Come back. I'll reset my pen to my inking pen. And I'll come back to the lines layer. And we've got Knowles on the picket line at the SAG-AFTRA strike. Scabs get stabs. Howl for fair pay. Yeah, I know I spelled it wrong, but no editing. We're on strike. And there you go. And we got a nice addition of from Linnea to getting that. Notice that my camera has me all foggy. Don't worry, I'm not feeling foggy. For some reason, the camera just is acting up, which it does sometimes. But there we go. Good first drawing. Good first drawing, everyone. So we'll take a quick little break here. I'll leave that up. I'll take a little break and have a little sip. How are you folks doing out there? You having a good week? Anyone have a chance to do some drawing during the week of their own? As just for fun? Again, that's what it's all about, drawing for fun. Dave contributed. Okay, well, thank you, Dave. Completely appreciate that. All right, let's move on and do a second drawing, shall we? I'm gonna come back here, close that out, and turn on the tables again, and let's go back to our dice and see what the dice come up with for drawing number 2. Once, twice, third time's a charm, and it comes up. Now we know that 3 is null. We don't want another null. Let's see what else we get here. Once, twice, third time's a charm. We got a 1. If I come back here and look at our tables, 1 is hanging laundry. I tell you what, I'm gonna give you folks a chance to figure out either spider folk or hanging laundry, and then we can either roll one or have you suggest. We can take another roll at it, or I can just pick one. I'm not feeling like I want to pick one. I'm having a lot of fun with the surprise. And the idea of spider folk hanging laundry. When I prepared these lists, I thought it would be interesting if those two were paired up, just because of the idea of the spider folk spinning the laundry line too. But I don't know that that's necessarily what we want to do. What do you think? Any ideas out there in the crowd for something you'd like to see? Spider. We're going to go with the spider. Okay, shall we re-roll the what then? Yeah, let's re-roll the what. Unless if you've got an idea for what the spider folk can be doing, put it in there. But in the meanwhile, I'm going to roll again. Once, twice, and third time. Now that's a 3. 3s are coming up big today. And that's an insomniac. Huh. Do Knowles have the same problem as the uh, what problem are you thinking of, Dave? I can't answer that question as it's posed because I don't know what it's implying. All right, so we got Spider Folk and Insomniac. Let's go in here and do some sketch and see what we can figure out, huh? Sometimes fall themes, so the leaves. These fall themes are going to be coming up a lot in the next few weeks. I'm segueing. I've segued out the back to school stuff, and I'm segueing in. Uh, segueing in fall theme stuff, and beginning next week, we'll also have some Halloween stuff. All right, so the Spider Folk, I think. Now we've got two different kinds of Spider Folk we can work with. We can do something. There's a creature in D&D which is called a Drider, which has a body of a humanoid, usually an elf, the torso and head of a humanoid, and the back body of a spider. Or we can have a more of a more humanoid, more upright. And I'm leaning towards the latter, but I certainly want to hear what you guys think. For these poor spiders and all those falling leaves. All right, so we're going to get rid of the Drider look here. So it's off the screen. We don't want to think about that. Cut that out of there. All right, you want the leaves, Linnea? You can have the leaves. Makes it kind of easier. I don't have to redraw that. I think that it's going to be leaves. You've got to have a hat on because it's the fall, and you put a hat on when you're out in the fall. Can have a cup of coffee. He's drinking now. I think though what I want to do is let me think about how this works. I had this problem when I did the rowboat in that I put it backwards, right? I'm going to get rid of those. Right, if he's raking in, we're going to have this emptiness on this side. We want the pile of leaves to be there. Then the rake needs to be coming this way. And I kind of have to pivot the body off that way. Okay. But that's easily accomplished. We're going to have that. We're going to have the second arm down there. This arm can hold the coffee here. Hello, Wolf. Welcome to the fun. And yeah, please join in. We're talking through some of this. We've got a spider folk, spiderkin, uh, that's raking leaves. Um, Maybe we can have a little spiderkin in there having some fun. In fact, I think I've got an idea for a gag now. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There we go. That's the right number. All right. Okay. Looking good. Not quite sure how I want to phrase this gag I've got going on, but I have a gag idea. All right, so let's draw our spider, Ken. Weirdly, I don't know why, but I feel very confident I want the mouth to go like that, and that's going to help me figure out where. The rest. Oh, am I on the right? Yeah, I'm on the right layer. Where the rest of the facial features are going to go. Suppose we could put a gag on the hat if you can think of some funny thing to have on the hat, or it could just be a regular old hat. Could also give him a little scarf because we think about it being cold weather. Well, the weather really hasn't turned cold yet. This is a joke. Jokes do not have to uh, follow what's actually going on. In fact, you probably don't want them to. Let's see what we got going on here. We got I was just doing another drawing the other day with uh, coffee cups. For some reason, I find it. You like to find things that are quick, simple designs that are iconic. right? If I do that, you look at that, and you say, that's a coffee cup. You know that that's going to have coffee in it, and it allows you to set up jokes without having to tell people, without having to explain things. Maybe we can make the tail just a little furrier, like a wolf spider or something like that. I don't know. Sometimes I do things and it's definitely on purpose, and sometimes I just play it by ear. There we go. Oh, and our other arm here. Forgot about this arm, which is going to take out a bunch of that stuff I just so meticulously put in there. It's alright, I can do that. There we go. Now we'll put some leaves that are being raked up, some leaves that have been missed. And then a big pile of leaves that have been gathered. And we can have the little kid having fun. Like so. I don't want to get too detailed. That'll eat up a lot of extra time, and as you're saying, it's better to have something that reads right and is easy to look than to be meticulously detailed. All right. So we've got the I'm gonna save the joke, save the gag for the end. Let's turn off the sketches now. I'm gonna keep you in suspense for a little bit. Turn off the sketches and look at what we've got here, and come back in and add some more, few more lines just to fill it up, make it feel complete. Hmm. There we go. It's looking good. Oh, I wanted to have the abdomen sticking out the back there. Well, back again with a different count. That's okay. I see you. I recognize you. And it's got to. Do you have any book projects, comics, or strips that I do? Just relatively recently came across my channel. Um, so I do not have anything current. I used to do. I used to do a lot of different things. I've published some books, published some kids' books. Um, I did a comic strip in the old Dungeon magazine for 4 or 5 years. It was called Bolt and Quiver. Um, I did a comic strip called 10 by 10 Tunes, which ran in Kobold Quarterly for the entire run of the magazine, which surprised me when I went back and looked at that. Um, I've in recent years I've done a lot of stuff. Most of my stuff has been on um, Instagram and on social media. I did a kids book, two kids books featuring a character called Little Witch Willow, which still have never been made into books. So I guess they're not books. I did them as online stories. Uh, so right now, the best way to follow me is going to be to go to my Instagram, which you can find at instagram.com/Stanex right there. Look at that. It's like I was prepared or something. All right, let's put some colors in on this while I talk. Um, I'm going to switch over to that gloaming brush I like. So yeah, Instagram is really a good place to follow what I'm doing right now. I have some projects in the planning stages, and they will certainly have video as part of them. So following the YouTube channel is a very good idea. But I will talk about them all on my Facebook and my Instagram. So those are the places right now that it's best to go look for me. I have a website, but it's broken right now, and I'm in the process of trying to fix it. Not just fix it, it seriously needed some updating. So, in fact, I've got a meeting scheduled this weekend with someone who's going to be helping me with that. Not that that means we're necessarily going to see quick action on it, but it's going to be a while before my website is actually a good place to send people. So I point to Instagram. All right. So let's now. That's a little too dark, I think. Go. The underside of the abdomen. And maybe yellow-green for the eyes. Um, yeah, so there you go, Wolf. That's my best answer to that. Hopefully that it gives you what you were looking for. Um, on the other hand, I mean, if you are just running into me now, the other thing you should know is that the bulk of my career, I've been more of a writer than a cartoonist, and not necessarily by choice. I've always loved cartooning more, but I've I just had more success. What can you say? More success doing writing. I was a game designer for Dungeons and Dragons for quite a number of years. I was a creative director for Dungeons and Dragons uh, at Wizards of the Coast. Um, I've worked for a lot of companies doing a lot of different game design projects. Um, but these days, I'm very much trying to increase my visibility as a cartoonist because that's what I love doing most. I'm going to start with a base of yellow here for the leaves, and then we're going to come in and add red and orange. And a bunch of these leaves all over the place. Go back and add some of the reds in here. A little yellow too. All right, so it's a good baseline color. Let's come in and put a little bit of the shading we like to do just to give things that slightly more I always hesitate to say to give it more depth because it doesn't really, but it just gives it a little more of a sense of being uh, having an extra dimension of being less flat. Maybe I'm a little too worried about that phrasing because it does. The difference between giving it depth and making it look less flat, it's the same thing basically. But I just like the way one sounds better than the other. And grab this color. You see what I do is I grab the color and I go down a little bit to the right on the color wheel to get a color that's about right for the job. There we go. Okay. That's looking good. So now we need the gag. I was telling you that I was holding out on the gag. Well, let's oops, hit the wrong button there. Okay, take that off screen. And I'm going to come back to my lines layer. And actually, I'm going to turn on the sketch because I want to make sure I write this correctly. I'm going to have him saying, quit your fooling around. And spin me up some bags for these leaves. That's a little on the nose. Again, the way it goes in. Oh, I put that on the wrong layer too. All right, so you see what I did there was if I turn off the sketch layer, I put that on the, on the lines layer, which is not where I want it. But here's what I can do. Again, the beauty of digital. I mean, I could just erase it, but I don't need to. I can grab it like that, and I can cut it and bring it down here to the sketch layer where I wanted it in the first place, and I can paste it. Now, it went on its own layer, but I can merge them like that. And now, oops, let's undo that. I didn't quite get that right. And turn on that sketch layer, and then we can merge those, and now they're on the same layer. And now I go back to the lines layer, and I can put that in with actual. Okay, so he's going to be saying, quit your fooling around. See, young spiders are just like young kids. Get them around some leaves, and they're just going to be having fun when they should be working. So uh, rather than bags, I could say web sacks. But now we get in the problem of whether or not. The problem is now spacing. And these are the kind of things unless you're a cartoonist, you really don't think about it. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to grab this, which is already done. I'm going to move it over, and I'm going to make the lines longer, which means I'm ignoring the lettering that I have. Quit your fooling around. And spin me up some now here is a different, because web sack is usually a biological word, and it's a sack with SAC, not SACK. So it's kind of a pun. Then we can just, oops, neither one of those really works for me. Here we go. And turn off the, and we've got quit your fooling around and spin me up some web sacks for these leaves. Does he need to say web bags? I think that there's where right now. So this is actually an interesting place to be, in that this is a point in doing a cartoon that you get to the point where you suddenly you're making these These little tweaks. Should it be web sacks? Should it be spelled just like the biological way or like sacks? Should it be web bags? Should it be, you know, am I too on the nose? Can I rephrase that a little different? And these are all exactly the questions I would be asking myself and trying different things. But we're not doing that here. We're gonna just let this one be. I I handle the questions that I feel I have to. Can't let that go. If it can be let go, I let it go here. So quit your fooling around. Spin me up some web sacks for these leaves. Spider folk raking leaves. It's a baby spider that needs to do chores. See, that's right. Well, it's not like the older spider shirking. He's raking. Baby spider could have had to rake. That would have been worse. Anyway, there's our second drawing. And let's take a little second here to appreciate that we got something done and we got it all done together. I certainly never would have gotten here without you guys. I was gonna go and re-roll or use the laundry line. I was stuck on the laundry line. You got me with a good leaf raking joke. Thank you. All right, one more, and then we'll call it a night. So I'm gonna turn off 2, turn on 3, and turn back on the tables. And we're gonna roll one more. So we've had Spider Folks, and we've had a Knoll, and we've had Sag Strike. Let's see what we get in our third roll up. So once, twice, third time's a charm, and 1. I don't remember. What was 1 over here? 1 is... Oh, we had Spider Folk. Repeats again. So consider what creature you might want to... Once, twice, third time. 6. So 6 over here is taking a selfie. All right. That's a big ope. That's a good big ope one. Who do you want to see taking a selfie? And we're going to throw the doors wide open to whatever. It could be something off our bonus board. It could be Spider-Man or a sumo wrestler or Cthulhu. Could be anything. Could be anyone. Who would you like to see me draw taking a selfie? Thank you, Wolf. Thank you for that. I'm going to be taking a selfie. From one insomniac, hard to come up with those jokes. Well, you know what? When I put that on the list, I started thinking, could I come up with a insomniac, the insomniac jokes, insomniac gags, and a lot of them have to do with what you would show them doing in the middle of the night. Like if I'd had that, if we'd done the Spider Folk and the Insomniac, I probably would have had the Spider Folk sitting up late at night just doing some knitting with thread that was coming out of their spinneret. Medusa, a Minotaur, says Leo. Hello, Leo. Thank you for joining in. Medusa or Gorgon, correctly. Yes, well, we could get into that particular argument about classical mythology versus D&D creatures. Because a Gorgon in D&D creatures is nothing like what you're suggesting. That's a good one. I like that. And I haven't done a Medusa / Gorgon yet for any of these, so let's go there. All right, so I'm going to turn off tables, turn back on the color I want, make sure I got the pen I want, and let's see, I'm going to zoom in a bit. going to do some loose. I have a buddy with her. Of course, it's going to be a petrified buddy. All right, that's a good rough layout right there. I think I'm just going to grab that and blow it up and make it most of the page, because I think that's a good layout. Look at that, nice and quick. Nice. I like it when it comes together quick. All right, so let's come to the new layer for our lines. And where do I want to start? What do I feel confident about? I feel pretty confident about that mouth. Hmm. Start putting some snakes in her hair. Have a smiling snake. There again, I was talking about sloppy lines. There was another one that was putting it in like it was a sketch, but it's a finished line. And you need to be aware of that when you're doing drawings. All right, and then I want to come over here. And it's tough to want to put a little life in this figure, but not too much because she's a statue. Becomes is, and I tell you this from experience. Uh, it's tough to get that feeling of um, the sculpture being a single piece of stone. When Medusa turns you to stone, that's what becomes of you. But you still want to have the implication of the clothing that you're wearing. I was looking at some photos the other day of sculptures where the artist was was sculpting out of stone someone who had a veil on. So they were sculpting something where the idea was they wanted to create the feeling that there was a piece of cloth like this, but they couldn't have it go in front because they needed to literally be able to be seen through to the uh, to what you can see through the veil. It's a fascinating problem that unless you've worked in those media, you probably never even considered. The first time I saw uh, photos of sculptures like that, I had never even considered that problem, and I've been kind of um, oh, I've been kind of fascinated with it ever since. There we go. And now, having done that, we can put some more snake heads and hair in here. I figure they were out. That's her good friend. That's Sheila, her very best friend. They were out having a good day, and she wanted to take a selfie. And realized it because you could see the camera. That poor Sheila would get turned to stone. Poor Sheila. All right, that's looking pretty good, wouldn't you say, my friends? The buddies turned to stone. That's the gold. That's the gold. That's the gag. Uh, the snake should be making bunny ears. They're that they look more like antenna to me, but I like the idea. Oh, come back here. We're not done yet. All right. So let's turn that off and see what we've got here. Add a few more lines here and there to finish it out. Poor Sheila. All right, you know what? I'm looking at this, and I think while this is another one of the ones. Every once in a while, I wind up doing drawings on here that I really like the idea of, and I end up coming back and redrawing in a more completed form, and sometimes I end up making them into stickers, and I have a feeling that this one may end up in that category. I really like this idea. So, good job, Linnea. I'm going to clean this up here a little bit. All right, and then we're going to go and add some colors in here. Make sure we go to the gloaming. You know what I didn't do before was check the other drawings out for whether or not I wanted to lower the opacity. Anyone who's new, I've often find that the colors that I pick are just hit what I want, but are a little stronger. When all is said and done, they wind up being a little more overpowering than I want them to be. Um, I'm just going to give a quick color. And the way I handle that overpowering, sorry, I didn't finish my thought. The way I handle that is that I will often go back after I'm done drawing and lower the opacity on the drawing, which is to say, make it a little see through. And since there's white behind it, making it see through just has the effect of lightening the colors up a little. Here I'm just adding, I'm already adding that little extra darkness to give it some extra depth to the hair. What I want to do is I'm going to come back here with my inking pen and I'm going to give the snakes, anywhere I've got the snakes, I'm going to give them red eyes. To make it stick out a little. And I'm going to come in here with yellow. I'm going to this anywhere there's a snake belly. I'm going to make it yellow. Like so. There we go. Come back to our gloaming brush. And there. Maybe she's got a nice fuchsia top. Just to show that they were out having a nice day. It was a nice day. They were having fun. And Medusa said, "Let's have a selfie." Now, is this going to be... Yeah, okay, so let's up the brush size a lot here because we're covering a big area with that. Then shrink it back down so I can get a little extra, make sure I cover all the places I want to. And another color. Poor Sheila. She doesn't deserve this. And let's quickly put some more of those semi-shadow low lights. Oops. Oh yeah, we gotta. Oh, that's far too strong. Here we go. That's looking pretty good. Looking at what was saying in the chat here. I was wondering what Medusa would think one of those weird face filters. Leo says you'd buy that as a sticker. Well, you may someday get a chance. I just did a sticker only. Wasn't a convention. I guess it was a bazaar or a flea market over last weekend, and discovered that I have 26 sticker designs. So here I'm going to drop the opacity a little bit. So, if that's 25%, and that's too much. But 15%? The full, that's very strong. But maybe 10% on this one. There we go. We've got Medusa taking a selfie. Who knew that was going to happen tonight? All right, what else have we got? Let's review our night so far. We've got Medusa taking a selfie. We have now here. I'm not sure. I'm gonna look here at this color level and see what happens when I drop the opacity. I think because we want the leaves, I don't want much, if anything, here. And I picked a very neutral color for the spider folk, so I think this one can stay as it is. But on the first one too. When earth tones, neutral tones are a lot come closer to what I'm looking for. But if I drop that just a little bit, I think it'll be a little better. So about 10%, also 10-15%. Right there, that's very strong. Just drop it about 15%, and the lines pop a little more, and it doesn't really affect it. And I think where it actually helps the most is over on the signs, where those bright blues become muted highlights. Anyway, yeah, there we go. We've got Knowles on the picket line. We've got uh, Spiderfolk raking leaves, and we've got Medusa taking a selfie. That's a pretty good evening's drawing for a Thursday, I should say. Let me see if I missed anything else that's going on uh, here in the chat. Uh, Buddy turned to stone. Maybe Buddy with a pumpkin head, scarecrow. That would have been all right too. I apparently didn't look up. I'm kind of happy with this. This kind of says it all. And yeah, and now that I've named her Sheila, I wouldn't want her to have a pumpkin head. Will I adjust the colors for the stickers? So I would do the whole thing over for the stickers. I would I'd do the drawing based on this. This would be the underdrawing for what I did. So I would clean the lines up. And we've looked at in the past at the differences between the drawings that we produce here, where we're working very fast, and the drawings I produce when I'm, you know, not trying to get an entire drawing done in 15 minutes. Like the thumbnails, those are the best comparisons I can think of. The thumbnails for this show, like the one from tonight, and the quality of that, just kind of how clean all the lines are. Everything's exactly where I want it to be. You don't have very many. This one in the shoe rack, there's some loose lines. You don't have a lot of loose lines. And the colors are more specifically chosen and laid in more with more I don't want to say care, but more exactitude. Exactitude. So that's what, if I'm going to do it for a sticker, I would do a version of that drawing in this fully rendered, more thought through execution of it. So yes, it would look very similar to this, but it would be in execution more like the thumbnails. And hey, I mean, since we're here and we're hanging around, we got a couple of minutes. I've already done next week's thumbnail, so I'll show it to you all here. Here we go. This is what next week's thumbnail is going to be. Feeling kind of autumnal, right? Having the coffee. There again, that was the drawing I was doing earlier this week that had the coffee cups that I was talking about. All right, so let's come back here one more time. And I want to say thank you to everyone for joining me, spending another hour and a half doing some impromptu improv cartooning with me. Hope that you maybe did a little cartooning of your own, whether or not it was improv or it was the same thing. I hope you did, because drawing's fun. I love this show every week because it's so much fun for me, and I hope that it's fun for you too. Remember, if you want to find me between now and next Thursday, the Instagram we were talking about before is a very good place to do it. I put all of the publicly available art I do. I will wind up on the Instagram, so you'll find things there. And if you want to be part, if you really like what I'm doing, and you want to get a little deeper and a few more views behind the scenes and get some regular updates from me, then consider coming over to Patreon and joining my Patreon. If you like stickers, there's a level at Patreon where I send out stickers 4 or 5 times a year, and you actually get something in the mail. Crazy talk. And I tell you, and I've told people this on my Patreon, my goal is when I get enough people in the Patreon community, then I'm going to increase the frequency of the stickers and include it at lower levels. Right now, just from a cost ratio, I can't. I've got to stick it. Stick it. I have to put the stickers at the level they're at. But if we increase the number of people in the community, then I can afford to uh, begin to make them available at lower levels, just because printing more stickers is more cost effective. Anyway, consider that. No hard sell. Like I say, the Instagram is fine. You'll see everything you want. You'll hear from me. But the Patreon has a little more. So until next time, I want to say thank you all for joining me. I want to say thank you to Linnea and Dave, and to Happy Wolf Art, Leo, and Dale was here. I don't know if he's still around. Probably listening and not chatting, which is fine. Denise, who was here early in the week, and Roger, who was here at the beginning. I really appreciate everyone who comes in. Before we go, it would do me a really big favor if you could hit the like button or the thumbs up or whatever. Subscribe if you haven't already, though I'm guessing if you're finding these on Thursday nights, you're probably subscribed somewhere. But particularly on YouTube, I'm trying to build up my my number of followers there and to increase my juice over on YouTube. So if you get a chance, head on over there and give me a like, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. And yeah, we will be back next Thursday at 6 p.m. for another hour and a half of improv cartooning. Until then, get some paper and do some drawing of your own, and I'll see you next week. Bye.